Yoga is
stillness. Yoga is
self-awareness. Yoga is
time-tested. Yoga is
unity. Yoga is
secular. Yoga is
evolution. Yoga is
a never-ending practice. Yoga is
calmness, focus, flexibility.
Challenge, tranquility, life. This is
Yogascussion.
Gina. We've got some interesting and special guests with us today on this episode of Yogascussion. Just to contextualize it for us and listeners. So my wife and I have been fortunate to be able to practice with a community of people almost every Sunday when people can show up to a temple. And Pavithra and Ananya are young girls that tend to roll out their mats next to me and my wife. And they're very interested in learning yoga. And they are very, very smart and talented in all sorts of ways. And so we're welcoming them on to this episode of Yogascussion. And we're going to kind of learn a little bit about their experiences and journeys. And we're also going to talk about the 8 limbs of yoga later.
I'm so excited for this conversation with them.
All right. Well, let's let them join us. Hey, Pavithra. Namaskar.
Hi.
Namaskaram.
Hi, Ananya. Namaskaram. Nice to see you.
Namaskar.
Thank you so much for having us here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gina, meet Pavithra, and Ananya. Ananya, Pavithra, meet Gina.
Hi,
Hello.
Pavithra. Hi, Ananya. I'm so excited to
Hi.
talk to you guys today.
Yeah, so
Same
excited
here.
to meet you too.
Yeah. So we really appreciate you joining us. And we were thinking that maybe you both could talk or take turns talking about your experiences with yoga so far. And then we might have some questions for you. And then we'll jump to our discussion of the 8 limbs of yoga later. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. Which one of you wants to go first? Is it going to go by age or alphabetical based on name?
I'll start first. I'm
Okay.
Pavithra Raja, 15 years old and a freshman in high school. And technically, both of us started our yoga journey around the same age. Whoa, same age is not the right way to say it. Like, same time. So, it starts with when my mom and dad go to yoga class one day and decided to, show us some asanas that they've done. And we were like, oh, can we try them? And they showed us, and we were able to do it. And that, sort of brought us to yoga class and made us interested in yoga.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool. How about you, Ananya? What's your take?
Yeah, I'm Ananya Raja and I'm 12 years old and I'm in 7th grade. And just like Pavithra said, our parents showed us a few of the asanas and we actually surprisingly we could do some of them. And it was kind of hard at first, but our parents talked to the Guruji and he said that we could join and we were really excited for it.
What would you say clicked for each of you with yoga? Like, what do you think has kept you practicing?
The thing that has kept me practicing is that the asanas get harder and harder, and I want to be able to do it better and better. And seeing all the uncles and aunties doing the yoga poses just makes me want to be able to do it like them. Also, Guruji is able to do it so flexibly and easily. That's just another thing that makes me want to do it better.
Yeah, and he's in his 80s. So Ananya, I believe, you had talked about, how inspirational that may be. Can you maybe speak a little bit to what it's like to see someone in their 80s who can do not just poses, but maybe is demonstrating a kind of temperament, right, that might come with a regular yoga practice? Could you maybe speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So Guruji has always been a great source of support while doing yoga. So even though we didn't do it correctly or we did few of the poses wrong, he teaches it very calmly. And you said, Brandon, at the age of 85, he's really good at his yoga. I noticed that he does it like on the hard floor, and like I can't even do that. Like we use a yoga mat, which is like really inspiring, and I see him doing the yoga, and it inspires me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the write-up that you guys sent us, you said that Guruji was very playful, and I just thought that was so lovely that that he provides that atmosphere. Do you guys think that his playfulness helps you learn more because it's almost like an invitation into the fun parts of yoga?
Yes. It also like sort of makes us feel like yoga is not like a thing we have to do, thing that we enjoy doing.
Yeah.
We also like in between we have to like leave for like Balavihar, which we do at the temple too. And for like not only do we do yoga, he also teaches us like some songs, and that's also really fun. We're learning like new stuff too.
Can you tell us more about Balavihar?
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 Yes. Basically, it's a class where we are learning slokas relating to gods and goddesses and learning a lot more about our Hindu culture. And we both do Balavihar at the Hindu Cultural Temple. And it just has taught us a lot. And I've been doing it since I was like 7 years old.
Mm.
And I've been doing it since I was like 5, so
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
we really love it.
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing I particularly enjoyed, there's some classes where you two are singing with Guruji or otherwise. What is that type of singing called? Does it have a name?
Well, sometimes they're called slokas. It's
Mhm.
kind of like chanting mantras to like God. But like there's not exactly a full-fledged name towards them as far
So
as I
like
know.
there's short slokas, like the short ones are called slokas, but like the longer ones that we do, that Guruji sings is like bhajans, like different like bigger songs, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have like different names to like different gods that they.
Would the two of you be interested in honoring us with a quick example of one of these?
Sure, we haven't really practiced on like a similar sloka. Do you want us to do a short one?
Yeah, I think a short one would be good.
Do you want to start, Ananya?
Okay. Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rama Manorame Sahasranama Tatulyam Rama Nama Varanan. This is like talking about God Rama.
Thanks, Ananya. That's great.
Yeah.
And then here's mine. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Shri Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Oh my gosh,
Lovely.
beautiful, you guys. Thank you.
Now, what would you translate that to, Pavithra?
Basically, it's talking about Krishna and like his life and how it's like being done and like why we're celebrating Krishna.
Thank you both for doing that. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
We were talking about what we could talk about on this Yogascussion, and it seems like we kind of want to take a trip around the 8 limbs of yoga. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Gina and I talked, and we thought that I might start with the yamas. So here we go. Okay. So I'll ask these questions, and then maybe you both can speak to these as we move through the limbs. Okay? All right. So for the yamas, I'll start with you, Pavithra. They're sometimes referred to as the 5 moral restraints. And we have ahimsa, which is nonviolence. How does that resonate with either of you, Pavithra or Ananya, this concept of nonviolence?
Basically, as ahimsa, we have it in our Balavihar class as a name for our classes. Basically, it's like teaching us not to like hurt others or ourselves. And like it resonates like in schools or in any other places. I try my best not to like hurt anyone physically or mentally and like treat everyone with the respect they deserve.
Like be kind to everyone typically.
Yeah.
I love that you say to ourselves too. I feel like that's also implied, and sometimes we forget that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and it's good that you two are learning about all that and practicing it at a young age for sure. And so the next yama is satya, this concept of truthfulness. How do each of you think of this concept?
How I would say is like we don't lie typically. Like we be truthful to everybody, my family, friends, even my sister.
Pavitra, does she always tell the truth? I want to.
I mean, usually she says the truth to me,
I
but
believe
to
you.
my
I believe
parents, I will keep it as is, as she said.
Yeah, Pavitra, what do you think of this concept of truthfulness?
Well, it's really important because, like, in the past, I had this tendency to, like, hide some stuff. And then, like, realizing that being truthful kind of just, like, opens up the idea that not everything has to be done by yourself and that everyone understands you easily. And it also builds up trust, and you're able to trust someone and they're able to trust you, which just makes it much more easier and, like, lowers the weight you feel in your chest.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like I just got a wisdom upload. Like, thank you.
Yeah, like I'm taking that wisdom nugget home with me.
Yeah. Yeah, what an answer.
Yeah, awesome. So, and then the next yama is asteya, this concept of non-stealing. How does that land with both of you?
Okay, so non-stealing is just basically like trying not to feel like the urge of needing something that's not yours. And basically with the non-stealing aspect of yamas, it just like allows you to realize that you have what you need and you don't need to take anything away from others.
Mm, great.
To feel like you're yourself and you could do anything.
Mm.
I want you guys to be the leaders of the next generation.
Yeah, I'm thinking of changing my voting ballot in the future. Yeah, I know.
I'm going to
I
write
know.
you in.
I know we're writing in. So the next yama is brahmacharya, this concept of moderation. How does that click with either of you, Ananya and Pavithra?
I'll say for typically in yoga, you have to like kind of use like when he like says that like when you're doing any asana, just like be like in it, like like I don't know how to say it, but like you have to like do everything at like one point, like think
Mm,
about it.
mm,
Basically for like brahmacharya, it's just basically like focusing on like all your senses and like how to like sort of control them. Because like sometimes we over control stuff and it leads us to making bad decisions in life. So like just trying to learn how to control them and allow us to like sort of live life as is.
Yeah, it kind of, I don't know what the two of you think or what Gina thinks, but I find myself thinking of another B word with brahmacharya, balance. Like how do you create balance? Right? Like Pavitra, I appreciated what you were saying. You were saying that, if you're controlling something too much, like that's probably not balanced, right? There's balance comes between the exercise of control and also letting go, perhaps. Yeah.
I just liked what Ananya said about like being in a pose. Sometimes you're being like really fierce in a pose, and sometimes it's like, oh wait, I'm like really gripping and I need to just kind of settle into myself. And so finding that moderation between being really fierce but also grounded and like I think that's what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, good examples. And then the last yama is a parigraha, this concept of non-hoarding. What do the two of you think of this idea of non-hoarding?
Well, it's kind of like being possessive of something and you're just having possessiveness is not like a problem, but like over possessiveness like sort of creates more problems for yourself. If you just like start to like let go of that possessiveness that you have, it like sort of makes your life much more easier to follow and like allows you to feel much more happier.
Mm.
I'll like yeah, that's the same thing I was gonna go with, but like yamas is kind of like the control. So like you have to like control what you're doing and like not be greedy or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Great answers. Great answers.
Yeah. So the yamas are sometimes called or sometimes talked about as like how we are in with the world. And then the niyamas are more about how we are with ourselves. And so the first niyama is saucha or purity. And I'm wondering how you guys feel or how that kind of shows up for you. It's a hard one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a hard one. I mean, technically, it's basically like sort of cleansing your entire self from all those like things, thoughts you have, the like desires you have, cleansing your soul from just like what you want and like the bad things from what you have, and just letting yourself be peaceful and restful with what you have at the moment.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, like purity, just like she said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next one after that is santosha, which is sometimes translated as contentment or happiness. I like the word contentment a little more for this one because I think it kind of like happiness is kind of this idea of like we're getting something and it's making us happy from the outside in. But I feel like contentment is more of a I'm working on the
Inside out.
inside out. How do you guys feel or how does that land for you?
I feel like this is a big one typically. You could be like happy is like a broad topic. So like if you're like happy for like yoga, you're like excited to do it, like all of that. But like in like normal, like if I go to school, I'm like happy to go to school, learn and do all sorts of stuff.
Mm. Mm.
And basically, it's just like feeling much more happier within yourself, and it's just accepting yourself and being happy with the way you're living, happy with basically how you're feeling and everything just surrounding you. And happy, as my sister has said, is a really broad topic. You can be talking about any way of happy. So like to like sort of debrief it, it's just being happy with who you are and what you feel.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I love that you said accepting. I didn't think about that beforehand, but I think part of contentment is just like accepting like this is who I am and this is where I'm at. I love that. And the next one is tapas, and this one's sometimes translated as discipline. Sometimes people will say it's like austerity, but I like the word discipline better. What are your guys' thoughts about tapas?
Discipline is really an important thing because like without it, you're just like gonna be wanting more stuff, wanting to like do some things, and you wouldn't like be learning much without discipline. And tapas are really important because it kind of restricts yourself from certain things and allows you to realize this is like something that you shouldn't do. This is something you should realize that you're doing wrong. And it's just sort of self restriction.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I feel like discipline is just like mainly like I don't know how to say this, but like doing something in a way.
Like, if I can ask a follow-up question,
Yeah.
how do you think discipline plays out in either your respective yoga practices or you two have a lot of other interests, right? You're learning to sing, you're learning to dance, you're learning to play instruments, you're playing all sorts of sports. How does discipline play a role in all of that?
I feel like being kind to all of them, like actually like trying what you're doing and like doing your 100% effort to it on everything that you do.
Mm.
I mean, my sister has put it in words that I can't even place it as.
Yeah, and you
Sometimes all
guys
you can do is give a thumbs up.
yeah. And you guys keep showing up, right? You have the discipline to like keep
Yes.
going to all of the activities that you do and yeah, sometimes I think of tapas and I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is the lazy part of me that's like I don't want to do the things." So the next one is svadhyaya, which is sometimes translated as self-study. Have you come into svadhyaya yet? If you have, what are your thoughts about it?
I mean, I've never really like felt it yet, but like sometimes I sort of reflect on actions that I've done and like look at what I've done and like realize what I've done wrong and then like figure out what I can do better and like improve the situation that I'm in.
That's
Yeah,
for
that's
sure
true.
self-study.
Yeah.
And I'll say it for like something in like yoga for me. Like I started doing like the Bhaktasana, even you know it. And at first, when I like first learned it, I didn't like understand it. I didn't know that you're supposed to like go into a squat, put your hands like on the floor and take your legs up. And it was like really hard for me. And I think I like planted on my face like 5 times. But like now, it was like today I actually like got it up, and it feels like keep on seeing what you like did wrong and then improving on it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Ananya had this really touching moment in class today where she really found like that balancing point in crow pose Bakasana. And
Mhm.
you got a lot of applause from people, didn't you?
Yeah, I think
That's awesome because you're trying, right? You're like moving through and you're getting all of this self-knowledge about like, how do my hands go? How do my arms work? How do I do all this? That's awesome. The last one of the niyamas is Ishvari Pranadhana, which is surrender. When I was learning these concepts, I struggled with this one because it's a really big concept. But what are your guys' thoughts on this?
this is a hard one.
Yeah. It's a little out there.
If like something's hard, you could like still like power through it and like go, even though it's like I don't
It's kind of like just giving up that ego you have inside of you and just like being like praying and like being content with the higher god or goddess that is in there, or a spirit if you believe in those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like there's something to being perhaps devoted to or connected to something outside of this idea of just thinking of me or I,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And also giving your best effort and then letting go and not staying like, not like keep going back and going, oh, I should have done this way or I should have done this that way. It's like, well, I did it and it's over. So I have self-knowledge and then I can let go. Yeah.
So I think we're moving along to asana, which is for a lot of people it's the fun stuff, right? Like where it's these poses that represent a lot of challenge. And I'm curious, Pavithra and Ananya, like what your experiences have been, because I know for as long as I've been practicing yoga, like when I think about my first time practicing yoga, I don't know if I've shared this with the two of you. I didn't like it. Did I ever share that with you?
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. Not only were the poses challenging, not only was I having like these thoughts of like, oh, I can't do this, but also what I was noticing is that as I was trying to do the asana, or if I was trying to stay still in Padmasana, lotus pose, I found my mind was kind of like really, really busy, right? And I think if I'm being honest about it, I think I kind of retreated from the experience instead of staying disciplined, right? Trying and maybe even having a little bit of faith that if I stuck with something, that maybe things would start like shifting or changing. So I'm curious what experience of the two of you had practicing asana, both in terms of physical challenge, but have you noticed anything maybe starting to happen internally?
yeah. For me, when I said like the Bhaktasana, it was for me. I felt like I like the crane pose. For me, I felt like I got like more flexible by doing it. And like at first, I thought it was like impossible, and it was like I didn't think I could actually do it. But now I feel like it's possible.
Mm.
There's so many poses there, and like most of them that involve like me stretching all the way down to touch my feet, I have like horrible like back flexibility. And those were really challenging. And like my first thing is like, no, I can't do that. But like I try practicing it a bit more, thinking that I can get it sooner or later. And I try focus on the poses that I am really, really good at and like work on those too, while also trying to figure out that you can still do these poses without worrying about it. And internally, I guess my like thoughts in the beginning were like also focused on so many aspects that I wasn't really focused on what I'm doing. And then later and later, I start like focusing on what I'm doing, and those thoughts start to like eradicate really slowly.
Okay, well, the next limb is pranayama, which is sometimes translated as the control of the breath or mindful breathing. And I'm really curious, do you guys have experience with pranayama? Is that incorporated into your practice?
Yes. Yes, we have done pranayama multiple times. In Balavihar, before we like go to our classes, we do Bastrika, which is just basically bringing your hands near your sides and then breathing in slowly and then breathing out heavily. And we do this multiple times. And we've also learned many ways of breathing in and breathing out through the nose. Anything else you need to add, Anya?
Like Pavithra said, Bastrika is like one part of. There's like different ones, like how she said, like breathing in and breathing out. In yoga, that's like one of like at the end, it's like one main thing that we do. We have to like do breathing in slowly and out, and we have to do that while each yoga pose. And I think that's like a main portion of yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
breath.
glad you said that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have a favorite breathing practice, like a favorite one that you do?
Honestly, I'm probably not sure about the names, if I can pronounce them right. But Anulom Wilom. I'm not sure if I said that right.
Yeah, they're challenging to pronounce. If you
That
aren't
one
super
is
familiar with it.
alternate nostril breath. I love that one too. It's one of my
Yes.
favorites.
I also like the Nadrashonoda. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like
Is it
Nadi
Nadi
Shodhana?
Shodhana?
yeah.
Yeah. That one's also wonderful.
Like, I'm wondering.
It's like breathing in slowly and.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I'm wondering when you do pranayama, could you maybe speak a little bit to how it made you feel when you were doing it?
Yeah. So like it was like for me it was like tough at first because like I didn't know how to do it, but when I kept on doing it, it felt like super calm. Like after like I finished it and you like open your eyes and like see it, like you feel so calm. I don't know how to describe it. Just awesome. I feel like everybody should do it.
I love that.
For me,
Agreed.
yes. For me, it's like it starts with like me focusing on how I'm breathing and like trying to regulate how I'm doing it, and then somehow I like start to do it automatically, and then I just like focus on the like breathing pattern and how it's doing. So just like some calmness and tranquility in just how I breathe.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Love it.
All right. Well, so moving on from pranayama, we've got pratyahara, this concept of turning inward. Sometimes people talk about it like distancing themselves or retreating from the senses, this idea of drawing our awareness inward. You know, Ananya, Pavithra, and maybe Gina can also relate to this too. You know, as we navigate human life, what we're often doing is kind of like reacting to stimulation, right? Whether this is information or whether this is some type of like energy coming like into our area. Maybe this is something someone is doing, something someone is saying. And we often find ourselves like reacting, you know. Reacting doesn't necessarily have to be a negative, right? But we're essentially kind of like reacting to what has happened. And then, so this idea of pratyahara is kind of talking about turning inward maybe, so that maybe instead of reacting, maybe you can kind of from a place of awareness more thoughtfully respond. So what do the two of you think of this concept or this limb of yoga, pratyahara?
Basically, it's just like trying to like focus on oneself without focusing on what's surrounding you. Basically, remove all the distractions. And this is like one of the few hardest limbs for me because I get distracted so easily. So like trying to focus on just like what I'm doing internally is so difficult because I get distracted with, oh, what's going to happen next? Oh, looking over there, looking everywhere that happens, like any sudden movement, I look. It's just like a really hard limb to like focus on. But the more practice added to it, I don't get distracted as easily.
Yeah.
For me, it's kind of like a big part of yoga, as Guruji usually says. He's like, focus on like what you're doing, like what asana you're doing, and like try to like not think about what's ever outside or like around you. Just think about like what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it kind of gives you, like, when you're in that space where you are kind of focusing inward, it feels like time slows down a little bit. Do you guys feel that when you're kind of engaged in that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. The next concept or the next limb is Dharn. I always say this one wrong. Brendan, will you help me out?
Yeah,
Dharana. Okay,
Yeah,
there we go.
dharana, yeah.
Dharana, or concentration. So it's a concept of like intense focus or pointed focus. So what are your guys' experiences with that?
I'll start. So when we're doing like the Nedrasana, which is like, I don't know how to like describe it, but like you have to like pull, like it's kind of like a needle, but like you have to pull one leg like all the way up and like you have to hold it in that. It was like really hard. You like have to balance in one leg, and we need focus for that to like focus with your body, with like the pose that you're doing. Concentration is like a big part.
And many of the postures and like Mayurasana and many of those like things that involve like having your hands in a certain posture or like balancing, it like involves so much like concentration and focus on like how you're doing it. And if like a single distraction, you're gonna probably land on your face or like hurt something. So like the concentration of like focusing on how you're balancing is really important.
I'm loving your guys' answers, and I'm also noticing how the asanas is the perfect environment to kind of play around with these concepts. Like when you're in the pose, you're like, oh, right, I go into this or I go into that, and that helps me be. It's like this, an ecosystem, and all of the parts are there. I just really I like how you guys are exploring them through the poses. It's really cool.
Yeah, and picking up on what Gina was saying, like the asana, like as we find what we learn in asana, it seems like we can apply to this interior world too, right? Either like our thoughts or feelings. Like, can either of you maybe speak to what it's like to be concentrated on or focusing on like how you feel? Like maybe even feel more deeply than just surface level physical.
Yeah. I don't know how to say about this, but like I feel like it's like mainly about like concentration on like you said yourself, but like thinking about like what you're doing, like I don't know, like at first like when I do something, like I just think about like what I'm doing, not like what I think about it or like what it's about.
That sounds like being present to me.
Yeah.
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 Yes, and it's basically just like so much. Basically, you're so focused on like what you're doing. Internally, you're like, okay, focus more on what you're doing as of now, basically being in the present, as she's been telling you. And it's just like focusing on like how your hands are posing and like feeling how your body weight is affecting it and figuring out where's that perfect spot to like stay that makes you feel comfortable while also maintaining the pose.
Yeah. Great answers. And so we've kind of touched on it, even in this dialogue of, concentration and awareness, almost kind of being like siblings, right? Like close together. And so we have the next limb, which is dhyana. sometimes referred to as timeless awareness, also known as, meditation. When we see people sitting either in Podmasana or Sukhasana, easy seat, and meditating, this is, you don't want to call it the goal necessarily, but like this is maybe like what one can do, in those poses. Can maybe the two of you speak to what meditation has looked like for each of you, either in yoga classes or at different moments? Have you ever maybe turned to meditation as a means to either relax, calm down, or has it become part of your lives as well?
Just to say, that is one of my favorites. I love meditation. So like whenever like sometimes like whenever I do like test, I'll say for like school, like whenever I do like test or something, and it's like super like big test because like I had like the map testing and all of that. It was like I was scared to like see what will my score be or like any of that, and like if the question is like right or wrong. And meditation actually really helped, like breathing in and breathing out slowly and like doing that. It like calmed me down.
Yeah,
And for
like
me,
that.
I get really angry easily sometimes. And usually when I meditate, I like try to find a nice quiet spot and just focus on my breathing and like focus on what's happening around me, listening to everything, while also just like listening to what I'm thinking and realizing that maybe I wasn't supposed to be mad at the first place. Maybe it was just like a misunderstanding.
Mm.
And it just brings me to the tranquility and like feeling of calmness.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think we're doing a good job of selling meditation to people who have yet to maybe like incorporate it into their lives. So I really appreciate your answers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great that you guys are learning this so young because, I mean, some people don't come to understand or experience meditation until they're way older, and it's like such a wonderful skill.
Mm, mm.
Yes.
So the last limb of the 8 limbs is samadhi, or pure bliss. And I feel like meditation kind of leads into that as if it's kind of like the gateway to that. And I think sometimes in the Western world, we think that samadhi or pure bliss is like a place we're going to get to one day. And maybe it's just like moments throughout life we come to it. Do you guys have any experiences with that in your yoga practice or in your personal, like maybe outside of yoga or even in your dance practices where you're like, oh, you hit that sweet, beautiful place?
Yes, for dance class, which is called Bharatanatyam, Indian classical dance. Usually we do so many movements, so many things. Sometimes we make mistakes, but we realize that sometimes it's best to make mistakes and see that we're learning something. And it just like allows us to live and in the present and allow us to like feel happy with what we're doing.
Mm, mm.
Sometimes whenever I do a yoga pose, like I'm too into that pose that like whenever like someone's like saying like look at this, I don't know what to like see because I'm so into the like thing, like intensely into the meditation or the yoga that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it almost like takes you out of yourself for a minute because you're so focused.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we've covered the 8 limbs, and maybe what we could do, I don't know what you think, Gina, but maybe we could flip the script, and maybe if Ananya or Pavithra have questions of us, maybe
Yeah.
we could even answer any questions. Do either of you have any questions you want to throw at either of us?
Sure. Gina, what's your experience with yoga?
Well, I started it when I started doing it casually when I was like a teenager, like 19. And then I did some classes. Like I took one at my university when I was like in my early 20s. And then it wasn't until my later 20s that I really started doing yoga. And it was mostly because I was stressed out from college. But Brendan and I had a same yoga teacher, and she was just so amazing. She just kind of cracked me open to this totally different way of experiencing yoga, and that pretty much hooked me. And then And then I moved to a town where there was no yoga studio, or there was a yoga studio, but it was very small. And I went there for a long time, and then I was like, the teacher kept saying that she was like, I can't make any money, I'm gonna close the studio. And so part of me going to yoga teacher training was like, oh no, like if she leaves, I won't know how to do yoga. So I need to learn how to do yoga so I can keep doing this, because it feels like I was really depressed, and it was helping my depression not be so bad. And I was like, I need this, because it helped my mind, and it helped me find that tranquility that you guys talked about. Helped me be more accepting of myself and just kind of accept where I am in my life, and not try to be so mean to myself. Like ahimsa was, when I learned about ahimsa, it was like, oh yeah, let's be nice to everyone else. And then we started talking about ahimsa to ourselves. And that was like a big concept for me to try and absorb, was like, oh, I might be kind of mean to myself, you know? So that's been my journey, and it just keeps evolving as I age.
That's cool. I have a question for you, Brendan.
Okay.
I've seen you like do lots of perfect asanas like at yoga class. So could you explain what like motivated you to start and like your yoga journey and practice every day?
Yeah, I don't think the start of my yoga journey, I was actually really engaged with it. I think it was, if I say like a flirtation, a curiosity. And then I think, and I've heard similar stories from people I've spoken with who regularly incorporate a yoga practice into their life. I went through a challenging period, and although I was becoming more and more interested, I think it was the adversity that life presented me with that allowed me, we touched on this concept of, surrender, right? And I really just, without really even thinking about it, to be honest, there was just a new routine. I just started doing it very regularly. And I like to think of, you said, I would never use the word perfect, but you said perfect asana. And like, I think what that is, it's like a manifestation. Like perfect is an illusion word. I actually think what perfection is, when that mirage disappears, it's just practice. Right? And so asana becoming more accessible, asana becoming more achievable, like that was kind of like the dessert or the cherry on top. For me, it was really just the still moments of breathing, bringing me into the deeper limbs of yoga that I think I really started to cherish. And that is, I think, what really supported my practice. And interestingly enough, it became just a way to live, a part of life, right? For me, it became like the way, as cliched as that is. Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
go for it.
question for both of you. How have you guys incorporated the 8 limbs of yoga to your day-to-day life?
Ooh.
That's a big question. Do you want to start, Brendan?
Yeah, boy, I'll try. I think for me, the 8 limbs are always like this reference check. It's a way for me to check in and I don't want to make it seem like I'm grading myself, because I'm not so sure that is a healthy endeavor, but it's like this reference check. The 8 limbs for me provide a mirror, this reference point. Am I, or do I feel like I am connected with something that is very profound, or not? There's some, Pavithra, I think you were talking earlier, sometimes, you get a little angry. Sometimes I get a little angry too. And it's over often silly things in hindsight, right? Mm-hmm. And I think those are moments where I can remind myself, okay, let me run through this 8-limbed yoga check-in, and then how could I reorient around that situation or experience? And it sounded like you were even doing something similar. Yeah. How's that for an answer?
That's a really good answer. What about you, Gina?
Yeah, I feel like the 8 limbs is a little bit like Brendan said, it's like a check back in. For me, I feel like I learn something new every time I'm revisiting these concepts. It's almost like if you read a book for the first time and you're like, "Oh, that was a really good book." And then you put it down for a second. But you're still kind of carrying those ideas in your head. And then you're like, "You know what? It's been a while. I'm going to go back and pick up that book again." And then I go read the book again and I go, "Oh, I missed this part, or I didn't think about that part." And then I think, "Oh, that's a new part for me." So then I work on that part for a while. And then I put the book back down and I kind of think about that stuff for a while. And then I come back again and it's like, "Oh, I missed this other part over here." So it feels like they kind of evolve for me. I remember in teacher training, I sometimes had a hard time understanding these concepts because they're really big. Concepts like satya, like truthfulness. Like, do we tell someone the truth even if we know it's going to hurt them? Because then we're talking about ahimsa too, like we're going to hurt them with the truth. And so I feel like sometimes I always have to revisit. It's like a book I have to read over and over and over again. And sometimes I might read the book and I might actually forget stuff. And then I go back and it's like, "Oh, I remember this, but I hadn't been practicing it," right? Because we are human beings. So there's going to be times when we aren't totally engaged. And so I feel like it's a roadmap, but it's also like this amazing book we get to go back and read again. It's also a system of self-knowledge. Like every time I revisit these things, I'm revisiting them as a different version of myself, whether just slightly, because we experience the world, and so we have things happen and we go through all of these different experiences, and then we come back to these concepts, and it's like, oh, with my new self-knowledge, I see this differently and I understand it differently. So to me, it's almost like this is a good one. It's almost like a magic book that kind of changes through time as I change too. And so every time I get to come back to it and revisit it, I learn something more about the concept, but I also learn something more about myself too, because I may not be the same as I was. I definitely am not the same person I was when I started my yoga journey, all those years ago. So yeah, I think it's like a magic book that kind of changes over time. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the idea of this magic book that you can come and read over and over again. I love that idea.
Yeah, I like to. I think the magic book, and it's kind of like this blueprint or like manual. It's really a gift to humanity, is how I like to think of it. And I think when it's whether you want to say regularly practiced or faithfully practiced, one can just experience a lot of goodness, I think, from it. Yeah.
Yes.
And I love that it was developed, that it's kind of an ancient practice, that it connects us back to humans who existed so long ago, because that makes me feel like I can look back into history and be connected to those people who are also curious about how to be the best versions of themselves. I think that's also the secret hidden gift in it.
So Ananya and Pavithra, we like to ask all of our guests some questions as we wrap up this Yogascussion. So thank you very much for both being on. I was thinking, Gina, that maybe we could each ask Ananya and Pavithra one question, and then we could maybe ask them to share an answer to the other question.
Okay.
Yeah. Would you like to ask one of Ananya or Pavithra one of the questions?
Yeah, Ananya, if you had to describe what yoga is for you in 3 words, what would you choose?
Oh, this is a hard question. I would say calmness, like able to do like focus and able to do like things that are like hard, but like you could still like power through it.
So calmness, focus.
Focus.
What's a third?
Flexibility, I'll say.
Cool.
Great. How about you, Pavithra? If you could describe yoga in 3 words, what would that be? Or what would they be?
Well, the first word will be challenge, because yoga is a challenging thing to like grasp on and like learn. So I would go with challenge because it like gives you so much like things to learn and more things to try out. So challenge is gonna be my first one. Then tranquility is my second word because it gives you like inner peace and allows you to focus on yourself. And then the last word, oh, there's so much in yoga.
There is so much.
I guess I'll go with life because the entire thing about yoga is just focusing on your life and living it to your best desire. So I would go with life.
Oh,
Such a beautiful answer.
No, both your answers were wonderful.
All of
Thank
them.
you very much. Hey, listener. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you, actually. If you've been enjoying the show, please consider leaving us a review on your podcast listening platform or giving us a shout out at Yogascussion@Podmasana.com. Or you can also reach out on the socials. We are on Blue Sky, Mastodon, Instagram, and YouTube. Sharing a review with others helps a lot. Thanks for listening and leaving a review.